You already know something is wrong. You feel it every single morning when your alarm goes off, and instead of excitement, the first thing that hits you is this heavy, suffocating dread. Not tiredness, not laziness. Something deeper. Something that sits right in the middle of your chest and whispers that no matter how hard you push today, it will never be enough. And here is the thing that nobody talks about. The most driven, the most passionate, the most ambitious people are the ones getting destroyed by this the fastest, not the ones who do not care. The ones who care too much. So if you are watching this right now and you have been grinding for months or even years, pouring everything you have into building something, sacrificing sleep, sacrificing relationships, sacrificing your health, and you still feel like you are somehow falling behind, this video is going to change the way you see everything. Because what is happening to you has a name. It has a pattern. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. But before we go deeper, I need to say something important. There are people watching this right now who are genuinely at a breaking point. If that is you, we have a program linked in the description below this video. I am not going to spend a lot of time on it right now because I want to give you real value first, but I will tell you this. Most people who find that link wait, they bookmark it, they say they will come back, and most of them never do. The ones who take immediate action are the ones who actually change their trajectory. Just keep that in mind. Now, let us talk about what is actually happening to you. There is a cycle, a hidden one, and it runs on a loop so perfectly designed that most entrepreneurs never even realize they are trapped inside of it until they completely collapse. It starts with a spark. You have an idea. Maybe it is a business. Maybe it is a side project. Maybe it is something you have been dreaming about for years, and when that spark ignites, everything feels possible. You are working late and loving it. You are waking up early and it feels like a privilege. Your energy is electric. People around you can feel it. That phase feels like the beginning of something massive. And it is. But it is also the beginning of something dangerous. Because when you are in that spark phase, you make promises. To yourself, to your future. You set expectations that are enormous. You build a vision so vivid and so real in your mind that anything less than that vision starts to feel like failure. And then reality shows up. Growth does not come as fast as you imagined. The market does not respond the way you planned. Revenue is inconsistent. Some months are incredible and other months feel like walking through quicksand. And instead of slowing down and recalibrating, what do? You push harder. You add more hours, you cut more sleep. You convince yourself that the answer to not getting enough results is simply more effort, more hustle, more sacrifice. And this is where the cycle turns sinister, because pushing harder when you are already depleted does not create better results. It creates worse ones. Your thinking becomes foggy. Your decisions become reactive instead of strategic. You start making choices out of fear instead of clarity. And the business you are working so hard to build starts to feel less like a dream and more like a prison you built yourself. Let me tell you what this actually looks like from the inside because I want you to feel seen right now. You scroll through your phone at 2 in the morning not because you cannot sleep, but because your brain will not stop running through everything you did wrong that day. You replay conversations. You analyze numbers. You spiral through worst-case scenarios until your body physically forces you into unconsciousness for a few hours. Then the alarm goes off and you do it all over again. You cancel plans with people you love because you feel guilty taking time away from the business. And then when you are sitting alone working, you feel guilty for not being present with the people you love. You lose either way. You cannot win that game and you know it. You look at other entrepreneurs who seem to be thriving and instead of feeling inspired, you feel something closer to shame. Like they figured something out that you missed. Like there is a secret that everyone else has access to except you. You have days where you feel completely unstoppable. Like everything is clicking and the momentum is real and the vision is finally within reach. And then 3 days later, for no obvious external reason, you crash. Hard. And in that crash, you start questioning everything. Whether you have what it takes, whether this was ever a real idea, whether you should just quit. That swing. That violent emotional swing between euphoria and despair. That is not weakness. That is the burnout cycle doing exactly what it was built to do. Studies show that over 70% of entrepreneurs experience significant burnout at some point in their journey. But here is what those numbers do not capture. The ones who never recover. The ones who quietly close their businesses. The ones who go back to a job they hate because the burnout convinced them that entrepreneurship just was not for them. Those people are not counted in success statistics. They are the invisible casualties of a cycle that nobody warned them about. And the cruelest part of the burnout cycle is this. The harder you work without recovery, the less return you get on every single hour you invest. You could be working 20 hours less per week and producing dramatically more value if you understood how to break this cycle strategically. That is not a motivational quote. That is neuroscience. A depleted brain operates at a fraction of its actual capacity. Every decision you make in a state of burnout costs you more time, more money, and more energy in the long run than it would have cost to simply rest strategically in the first place. Think about the last time you made a significant business decision when you were completely exhausted. Think about what that decision cost you, not just financially. Think about the time you spent recovering from it, the mental bandwidth it consumed, the confidence it eroded. That is the real cost of ignoring this cycle. But here is where everything changes. The entrepreneurs who break out of the burnout cycle do not do it by working less. They do it by working differently. And the transformation that happens when someone finally understands this is almost impossible to describe unless you have lived it. Imagine waking up and your first conscious thought is actually energized, not forced, not performed. Genuinely energized. Your mind is sharp from the moment you open your eyes. You sit down to work and hours feel like minutes because you are operating from a state of genuine clarity instead of desperate survival mode. Imagine making a decision in 20 minutes that used to take you 3 days of agonizing back and forth because your nervous system is regulated and your thinking is clean and you can actually see the situation clearly instead of through the fog of chronic depletion. Imagine having a conversation with a potential client or a partner and feeling completely present, not half there while the other half of your brain is catastrophizing about everything else. Fully there, fully engaged. And because of that presence, you are magnetic in a way that you simply cannot manufacture when you are burned out. Imagine looking at your business and feeling proud of it again. Not the desperate pride of someone trying to convince themselves it is worth the suffering. Real pride. The kind that comes from seeing measurable growth happening because your energy and your strategy are finally aligned. That version of your life is not a fantasy. It is not something reserved for a certain type of person. It is what happens when you stop treating recovery as a reward for reaching the destination and start treating it as fuel for the journey itself. The entrepreneurs who figure this out early do not just avoid burnout, they compound the benefits over time. The clarity they gain leads to better decisions. Better decisions lead to faster growth. Faster growth leads to more resources. More resources create more freedom, and that freedom is what you were actually chasing from the very beginning before the cycle convinced you that you had to earn it through suffering first. The difference between someone who figures this out in 6 months versus someone who figures it out in 6 years is not talent. It is not luck. It is not connections. It is information. It is having someone show them the pattern clearly enough that they can actually see it and then giving them a specific structured way to break it. Most people reading this type of content try to figure it out alone. They consume more content, they buy more books, they listen to more podcasts. And none of it works because information alone is not transformation. Having a map of the territory is not the same as having a guide who has navigated it before. There is a reason the most successful entrepreneurs invest in mentorship, in structured programs, in guided frameworks rather than trying to piece it together themselves. It is not because they cannot figure things out independently. It is because they understand that time is the most valuable asset they have, and spending months or years learning through trial and error what someone else can show you in weeks is not discipline. It is an expensive mistake. And if you are the type of person who watched this entire video, if you are still here right now, you are not the type of person who needs someone to tell you this is important. You already know it is important. You are the type of person who acts when something resonates. You are the type of person who does not need to be convinced that change is necessary. You need to be shown exactly how to create it. The program linked in the description below this video exists for exactly that reason. Not for people who are casually curious. For people who are genuinely ready to stop repeating the cycle and start operating at a level that actually matches the vision they have been carrying. The people who take action on things like this today are not the ones who are more ready than you. They were just the ones who stopped waiting for the perfect moment and chose to create it instead. That moment is right now. Go check it out.